What up, y'all? Patrick Haize here. And today what I want to talk about is not letting your addictions control your life. Because whether we admit it or not, America, the world, humanity at large is addicted. Addicted to all sorts of things. And when we say addiction, typically people think about, the big name drugs like heroin and cocaine and all these things. And I can speak from experience. I know what addiction is because I've been addicted to those big name things. But I've also been addicted to all the subtler things that the rest of humanity is addicted to also, that doesn't really get the airtime or get swept under the rug because they're socially acceptable or they're things that don't stand out so salient in normal everyday society that people actually see it as a problem. But nonetheless, are very vicious addictions that keep people binded to them for their entire lives. And that's actually sometimes more of the downside to some of these subtler addictions, is that when it's something that doesn't really stand out, it's something that somebody can become addicted to and stay addicted to their entire life and never actually handle, never actually become free of, because there wasn't enough inspiration or motivation or obvious reason to let it go. But I'm here to try to point the direction at more of the obvious reasons for why we should let go of some of these everyday addictions that everyone has. This isn't going to be super mind-blowing because it's pretty obvious that people are addicted to things. Addicted to food, addicted to sex, addicted to attention, addicted to social media, addicted to technology in general, addicted to negative emotions, addicted to thinking. That's probably one of the most universal and hands down biggest addictions, period, is the addiction to thinking. And, you might think like, well, what's the problem with thinking? And there's not a problem with thinking. The problem is not being able to stop thinking. And that's essentially what an addiction is something that you can't stop. So with that definition, we can look at all the things that people are addicted to, even the good things like exercising or health food. See, the whole thing is that it's not so much about the specific thing and whether that thing on a level of health or a level of cultural acceptability or a level of moral integrity is right or wrong. What it's about is it's about vibration. Because when we're addicted to something that we can't stop doing, something that when we don't do, we feel like we have to do it. When we're addicted to something, we're bound to it. And anything we're bound to is restricting. And anything that restricts us lowers our vibration. So the idea is to become free of those things that bind us. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to stop every good thing that we're doing because we do it all the time. What it means is that it's probably a good idea, if we have a habit that we do all the time, to practice being able to abstain from it. See, this has been practiced in mystical traditions to an extremely audacious level, to the point where different mystics will fast for 40 days or even dry fast for extended periods of time. There are even like the standing saints, I don't think that's the right term, but basically mystics that have been standing for like 10, 20 years straight. People that have really, really abstained from the normal everyday pleasures of life, like eating and drinking or being able to sit down and relax, in order to expand their will, their connection to the spiritual, by relinquishing the corporeal desires for comfort in the physical body and dedicating yourself to what's a pretty painful experience. You're dedicating yourself to a higher purpose, and you're kind of relinquishing the comforts that come from these everyday things that normally we take for granted. And doing that strengthens our ability to connect with higher aspects of ourselves. It makes us more powerful people. I'm not encouraging everyone to go, fast for 40 days or try to stand for 20 years. What I'm saying is that if we have these everyday habits, these things that we take for granted, some of them can be more destructive and some of them might not even be destructive at all. But if we take these everyday habits that we have and we practice abstaining from them for good periods of time, what that does is that strengthens us. It strengthens us to a point where when we're faced with decisions in our life to either feed a compulsion or do the right thing. We have much more gas in the tank. We have much more capacity to do the right thing because we know what it means to abstain. We can do the thing that we normally do, and we can let go of that thing because we've played with that. We've gone to the extent of strengthening our will and developing the malleability to live out those habits, especially the good ones, but be able to stop the ones that aren't beneficial. You know, a good rule of thumb that I use is when deciding which things are worth perpetuating, which things aren't worth perpetuating, is I look at the overall picture and I ask, well, is this bringing more positivity into my life? Is it bringing more health, happiness, more abundance, more joy to my life and the people around me? And if it's not, then what's the use in doing it? There's so many addictions that people have on a regular day basis, whether that's like drinking coffee or, ice cream at the end of the day. And some of them, to a certain extent, might bring some joy. But then you got to really weigh it at a certain point and be like, well, is this bringing more to my life or is it taking from my life? And if it's taking from my life, that's a negative addiction, which is worse than a positive addiction. But that's something that is really important for us to be able to cut off. It's a simple equation. Is it adding to my life or is it taking away from my life? Is it adding to the people's lives around me or is it taking away from the people's lives around me? If it's taking away, it's like cut it off. But even to the positive side, so whether that's exercise or whether that's, green juice, whatever it is, if we're compelled to do it, then we've lost our freedom. And ultimately, when we don't have freedom, we have a lower vibration, when we're not truly free. That means that if we're faced with an important decision, it's like, well, I have to go home and make this green drink. Or I can sit and hold space for my friend that needs this extra time right now. If I'm not compelled by this addiction to go get that green drink, then I can be more malleable in my life and I can hold space for that friend or whatever it is that I'm having to make my decision between. So I encourage you guys to explore abstaining from those things that have become habituated in your life. Definitely, let's cut out those addictions that are basically just energy leaks, even the small ones, right? Because, a lot of small energy leaks, a lot of these small things that may not take a whole lot from our life, but are taking a little bit, when you add them all together, that's a lot of life force that we're giving away to, mundane things, whether that's negative thinking, watching negative media on TV, too much social media or technology addictions, all these different things. It's like they all sap our energy, right? And so the more of these things that we can cut out, the more energy ultimately we'll have, and the more we can give those to those good things that we want to perpetuate, but then also be aware of those good things and be aware not to fall into the trap of becoming addicted to them, where we're compelled to continue doing them and then sometimes make the wrong decision in order to fulfill that desire and compulsion, when we could be using that energy to be of service or do what we know inside is truly the right thing. So thanks so much for tuning in. This is Patrick Haize. One love. I'll talk to you next time. If you liked the video you just saw and you want to support me in bringing more content like that to you, donate to my Patreon page. There's a link pinned in the comments below, and when you donate to the page, you get access to all sorts of cool giveaways, like exclusive content, free music downloads, monthly group chats with me, and more. Now, every single donation that comes in goes directly to improving the quality and the quantity of my content. So thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you on the flip side.